who either you can't make it for whatever reason, it will be recorded. So if you can't make it, that'll still be something that you can tune in. The topic is we're gonna have, if you remember, for those of you who've been paying attention, throughout COVID, back in March, we had a handful of people who were from all across the industry. We had a lender, title company attorneys, we had a broker, property manager, flippers, wholesalers, people who do land, we had private lenders, CPA, pretty much across the industry. We did a panel saying, hey, how is COVID being affected by your neck of the woods in the industry? And then what are you doing to adjust and pivot? So over 3 months later, we're gonna be asking the same question, and we're gonna get a feel for the industry from people who are in it day in and day out. So tune in for that. That's next Tuesday night in Covington, we're gonna be meeting. So if that's something you're interested in attending, if you look down in the chat section at the bottom of your screen, I posted the link for it. Again, it'll be recorded. So if you either don't feel comfortable attending or you can't make it for maybe scheduling reasons, stay tuned for that. But for those of you, if this is your first time tuning in with North Shore RIA, our goal here, and I started this just a few short years back, the goal here is to raise the tide of education level in the collaboration in the real estate investor community in our area. And one thing I've loved about COVID is that it's put me to doing these webinars rather than just in-person meetings, which I've been able to invite great people like Mitzi, who's gonna be sharing in a few. Mitzi, it's funny, the last meeting I had with the RIA, I had Daniel Chad Moore came, and he actually came to the area and spoke for the RIA. And so, and then we had Corey Thompson shared he was in the area last year, and he shared with the RIA. So it's funny, the RIA is getting more of the Texas community than the more I think about it. But nonetheless, you guys, so that's our next one. I am working on finishing up scheduling out some more webinars. And the next in-person meeting is gonna be this coming Tuesday. So then the idea is, hey, can we have it again in August? Can we meet in person? That's gonna be a wait and see game. But keep tuning in. However you heard about us, keep tuning in. We're gonna continue to have these free webinars and helping us all grow together. If you've got questions, so normally I say, hey, let's mute everyone so that's not distracting and things along those lines. And if you have a question, pin in the chat. Tonight, Mitzi said, hey, let's engage. And so let's just do that respectfully as far as, be in control of your mic. If it's loud or anything like that, just be mindful of that. That's the only thing I ask. But other than that, guys, I look forward. Mitzi, I think it's somehow, maybe it was, I don't know exactly how we met. I want to say it's through the Propelio guys and Corey Thompson and people along those lines, and Elizabeth, already that I got introduced to you. And I know that I've enjoyed seeing seeing a woman who's killing it in the real estate game. And so I look forward, I love watching your Facebook Lives and getting to learn from you and to see someone who is building a business, who's building, and who's also building that lifestyle as far as with your family and whatnot. So I want to go ahead and give the floor over to you. And I want to hear what you have to say. I'm looking forward to learning and inviting everyone else to join in tonight. Thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Courtney. I wanted to do a shout out to Mike Poland and Nancy Garcia and Jasmine Webster. I know you guys are, I think, all part of my group right now, New Wholesalers.
What's up, Mitzi?
What's up, Mike? Mike is awesome. So I just a little thing. I am doing a free new wholesalers group. So I'm teaching new wholesalers right now how to wholesale. And we're starting off on how to teach you for free. So if anybody wants to join, it's just called New Wholesalers. I didn't get really creative with it, so that's the name. Yeah, so Courtney invited me on and she was asking me what I wanted to talk about. And I've talked about a lot of things on different kinds of podcasts and public speaking, but something I noticed that held people back was really their mindset. You can do all of the mentorships, you can do all of the YouTube videos, you can do all of that, but until you actually fix the mindset and find your flow, it's a little harder to, actually it can be very hard. And sometimes you may not accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish with all the work that you're doing. So I told Courtney, I was like, how about finding your flow? Because that's something that I've been teaching some people on right now. Actually, Mike's part of it. So with finding your flow, so something about what I've noticed about mindset. Mindset is like, it's like the garden that you're planting the seeds in, your mind. And if your mind isn't fertile to hold that seed, if it's like a rock or if it's on a root or whatever, it may still grow, but it's not going to grow and flourish like it really could, like a seed could. So it's like cultivating the right mindset so that you can have things flow and grow the way it should. And I'm somebody who's done the business for 4 years straight, so I can tell you guys that mindset is so much, it's the foundation for the business. And there's a book that I do recommend. It's called Cybernetics. Mike, you've read almost all of the book, right? Right there, yeah. Is it an amazing book? What do you have to say about it?
So I just got, my daughter actually got this for me for Father's Day. It just came in, but as soon as you told me about it, I found the audio book on YouTube. So it's basically, I went through all 15 chapters for free, but I also was able to go through it pretty quickly. So again, just go to YouTube and type in, you'll find a free version. But again, not like the real thing too. But it's awesome book. It's not a novel. It's not a fiction or nonfiction. I mean, it's something you really have to go through and work at. It's not different than a college textbook. You got to go over it over and over to get out of it what's in there.
What would you say that it's helped you the most with?
I mean, for one thing, I'll tell everybody here, I had a bad habit. Now that, and your, finding out my score, the thing that you're working on, and we identified that I had a couple of habits, and I forget what chapter it was in the book or on the audio book, and I chewed my fingernails for as long as I've ever known, and I think it's been a month since we talked about it, and I haven't chewed them at all. So it's effectively a habit that I broke, that I didn't even
it wasn't
never
hard.
thought of breaking. So that's just one example. But it also, takes you into, how you set yourself up for small victories, and then keep building up upon those victories to build self-confidence. It's definitely one of the better books I've ever had, without a doubt.
Yeah, actually, I know some higher ups, and it's actually on the reading list for like secret societies. If you join like a secret society, like I'm like some ones that presidents have joined and everything, I'm not going to name any right now, but they actually are told to read this book. So Cybernetics, and that's something I found out later when I was talking to somebody else who actually knows some people in some of those societies, and he's like, that's on the reading list. I'm like, I'm not surprised. So it's about self-image and like how you think of yourself, because like right now, you guys, every single one of us has what we think we deserve. You all have settled for your minimum standards. So if you don't have the life that you want, it's because you don't think you deserve it yet. So how do you get what you want? Well, do you guys all have your minimum standards? You raise your standards, simply put. But how do you find the flow and how to do that? Like, that sounds easy enough, right? But like, how do you actually do it? So this book does help Cybernetics, because it does go into the scientific way of not just about the woo-woo part of it, but it's more about the scientific side of how your brain is a processing unit, like a computer. And when you put something in it, it processes off of that. It works off of what you're putting in it. It cannot feel emotion. The brain does not feel emotion. It cannot think for you. it is basically a processing unit. So like, what are you putting into it? What are you deciding to think about? And you know what? The mind is a crazy drunken monkey. I'm a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher also. So something that I learned along the way was we can let our minds really go crazy, and a lot of people actually react off of the mind. So the brain, just so you guys have a little bit scientific part of this, so you guys can go into the flow of it too, just to make a foundation for you guys. So the brain, when you think of thought, and it really comes from your perspective, which comes from your experiences so far. And if you don't have the life you want right now, the programming that you have been raised to live off of is not working for you, simply put. So when a computer has old programming, does anybody have Windows 1 on their computer? I don't think so, right? But so you have to constantly upgrade, update. But some of us don't do that. So then we wonder why we self-sabotage. We don't get the things that we want. We may work hard. We're like that fly hitting the window over and over and over, wondering why the window just doesn't open. And if people say, just work harder, just hustle harder, well, you're gonna be that dead fly at the windowsill. You're gonna be that drained person that just hates everything and is not enjoying the journey. Who wants that? Who wants to feel like they just gotta work harder and hustle harder and just do everything the hard way? Does anyone like doing like 200 calls a day? Does anyone enjoy that? What if you can have things a lot easier? And it all comes down to your programming. So the programming that you have been living off of has gotten you where you are now. And if you notice yourself sabotaging, which most of us do, that means your old program is not working for you anymore. So now we got to replace it. And this is part of finding your flow, is understanding where you're at right now, which I have this document called Know Your Score, and it pretty much lets you know where you're at right now. And then I tell people, come up with your ideal life so we can know where you want to be on the map. All right, so between where you are right now in the ideal map or the ideal life is where like the old program is being replaced with the new programming. And I know you guys are like, what does this have anything to do with real estate? What I'm about to teach you guys or tell you about, so you can dive further into it, is a lot more than just real estate. It's about life. And really, yeah, there you go. Know your score. Yeah. And I can go ahead and send this to Courtney so she can share it with everyone. But it lets you know like energetically where you are. And my friend is getting her master's in quantum physics. So energy is not something woo-woo. It's actually very real. It's everything. Everything is made of energy. And it lets you know where you're at so that you know what you need to clean up so you can move to the next level. Life is like a video game to me. So a lot of us will go in just shooting the place up, wondering why we can't get to the next level. And there's like certain things you got to accomplish to get to the next level. But every level, the reason why it's so interesting is there's still obstacles to go overcome. I'm not saying that you won't ever have obstacles. Like what I'm about to teach you means everything's going to be easy from now on. No, it's just going to be different obstacles, but it's going to be better prizes, better and experiences in each level. So like, doesn't that sound good? So far in my experience, it has been. So, so what I'm teaching is like how to level up in each area so that you feel like you're going to the next level in the video game, so you can have more fun, more prizes, have better experiences, and then when obstacles come, you have a better way of being able to handle them, so they don't have to always be so hard, and you may even appreciate them. So where you are, like I was saying, is where you think your minimum standards are, what you think you deserve right now. Because really, we make our minimum standards off what we think we deserve. And so it's keeping up with how do you feel every day. Because I talk about something called like the circle of alignment. I just came up with this. But like the circle of alignment is like your happy spot. Okay, like your little rainbow. Anybody who crosses that, you know, like if you cross that, you're not happy. So the circle of alignment is where you can make things happen for you. It's like this powerful place, and it's a place of faith, just knowing. So whenever you see somebody walk in that's super confident, don't you feel their energy? Are you like, man, sometimes you hate the person because you don't think you're like them, but really the only reason you're able to recognize something in somebody is because you have that in you too. But maybe you don't think you do. So maybe right away you hate the person, or you may like the person, or you just like look at the person, whatever it is, but you feel it. Well, that is faith. That's confidence. That's knowing. It's a knowing. Like in every ounce of your soul that this is meant for you. Like you own the place, that this, you're going to rule the world, whatever it is. But how do you get there? Because like I can tell you, when I first started out, I was super freaking shy. I was told that I would never make it in anything I did. I had, man, it was one thing after the other. And I actually felt like kind of like a phoenix that made myself out of the ashes, because when I first started, nobody believed in me. I had people who wouldn't even talk to me when I asked them questions. They were like, talk to me after you've done a few deals. And I get it now. Being in the business, there's a lot of people who ask you questions and they don't ever do the work. But instead of actually doing the work, like the hustle, what I'm going to be talking about again, is finding your flow and working on the mindset and working on you gaining the confidence. So when you're on, I don't know where it went. Okay. When you're on a phone call, you can start solving problems right away because you're open enough to receive and listen to what's really happening, what that person is really saying. This is like on a whole nother level that most people don't even teach on. They just teach you rebuttals or what to say. So you're like a robot. I don't want you to be on autopilot. I want you to be in your flow. Have you guys ever been on the river, and have you ever felt like you needed to, like, of course you have to get off to get over the rocks, but isn't that more interesting anyways? But you go on the river and you know it's going to take you, if you're in Concan, it's going to take you to Neal's eventually. Or if you're in New Braunfels, it's going to take you wherever. If you've ever been on the river, you know where it's eventually going to take you because there's a flow. And you have faith it's going to take you to where you need to go, right? Imagine life has that flow for you too. So when you're in the circle of alignment that I'm talking about, you feel good. And anything is possible for you. Whatever you think, you've pretty much already created. And the moment you think it, there's a reason why it's already in your heart. You already have that desire. And when I say like, you go like, okay, so if it's good, go after it. Some people are like, well, what if I have bad intentions in my heart? Don't do that, you know? I shouldn't have to say that, but like some people have even asked me that. What is good? Some people have asked me that too. Just in case, I'll outline that, but hopefully I don't really have to, but I will do it just in case. If it feels good when you think about it, when you do it and after, and it benefits other people, that's good. So like, that's the kind of stuff to act off of. So in your circle of alignment, whenever you have something that comes to you, like you see yourself traveling, you see yourself hanging out with your family, not having to worry about money, whatever that is, like feel into that. I know this sounds woo-woo here with what I'm saying. Feel into it. Feel the emotion of already having it. If you guys want to make $10,000 by the end of the month, I want you throughout the day to take a few breaths in and out, very deep breaths, and I can teach a meditation later. Or who's all down for me showing a meditation right now? Raise your hand, or can you raise hand on here?
Yeah, some people don't have their video, but I just recently got done reading The Secret, Laws of Attraction, right? And,
Yeah.
and it's huge. I've got some of these things that I am like, hey, things that I'm wanting to attract in my life. I've always been about like, oh, I've heard about vision boards. I read that book and I was like, no, I went and I immediately made a vision board. You know, you hear it, but when do you ever get around to it unless there's like a vision board event at somewhere you go, right?
So Courtney, you saying that, you actually acted in your flow. There was inspired action because you read something, you felt like reading something, you read it, and you went and did it. Did you have to time block that? Did you have to hustle hard to make it happen, or was it something you were motivated to do?
Yeah, it was motivated. It came easy.
That is what I am talking about right there. You were inspired to do it and you acted off of it. What if every time you felt that kind of inspiration, you acted off of it? And your life flowed. It was easy.
Yeah. And I think
That
that's a huge part of, so many real estate investors, you see that short turnover with them because there's a constant turnover of people in the real estate investing community because so many people want to build wealth, they want to make money and all these things. There's some mindset wise, their programming's off because they just think it's get rich quick, right? Yeah, or they're so short-sighted with it, you know?
yeah, and the thing is like they get what they already think they deserve anyways. So if you're working and calling 250 people a day, I've done it. I've cold called 250 people a day. I have done some serious stuff, but I was in the wrong mindset. I was thinking, what if I can't make this happen? And then all of a sudden one day I decided to change my thought. And I thought, I'm going to make this happen. And within that week, I made a $50,000 deal. Another week, I thought the same thing. It only took me 7 days I made a $25,000 deal. And it was every time I started guessing myself, doubting myself, like not believing what I was doing would make it happen, that things would just restrict. And I noticed there was a pattern, and I noticed it before I started the business. That's actually, I actually started this business already have founding the flow in a way and wanted to test it with this business. I actually wasn't even sure this business would make it. Like, I was just like, well, let's see what happens. And that's part of the finding the flow is you know you want a certain outcome, but you don't control the how. And were you trying to control the how? Before you got your vision board, did you make a to-do of like what you were going to do at 9 o'clock, buy the poster board, and when you get back, you're going to cut out some stuff and put it on the poster board? Did you get it like where you're going to buy the glue? Did you do any of that?
No.
Yeah,
No.
it flowed, right?
Right.
Yeah, that is the thing that I want to teach people, because most people think, I got a time block, I got to call it this time, I got to do this at this time, I got to do that. You are living your life in every moment. And is that a kind of life to live where every moment has to be planned and you have to force yourself to do things?
No, and you rarely ever, when you're forced, you rarely ever get the good stuff, right?
Most of the time you don't even want to do it, you procrastinate it.
Right.
You're like, yeah, I need to call these people, but I really don't want to do it. So I'm going to do everything else I have to do before I do this. You're not in your freaking flow. So that alignment circle that I'm talking about, that's your flow. When you're out, it's like a hurricane out here. All right. Everything's hitting you, coming at you. You feel like you're being torn apart. You feel bad. Like, that's not the place to be. But a lot of wholesalers teach people to be that way. They're like, don't worry about being in alignment. Wake up early, wake up at 5 a.m., work harder, just work harder, hustle harder, do 10X. If that all worked, then Grant Cardone wouldn't be in the financial troubles he's in, right? I mean, like, there's people right now that are constantly talking about, just do this, just do this. And the truth is they're just hanging on. They don't know what they're doing either. And you know what? I'm not going to say that I know anything either. I'm just going to tell you what's worked for me. And I don't work hard. I like being lazy. I like sleeping in. I like hanging out with my family. I like doing whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. Because why are we in this business? Are we in it for freedom, or are we in it to be our own slaves?
Right.
You know, so what I found, like, when I started this business, I was like, is this flow going to really work? And it taught me more about the flow while I was in it. So, so if you come up with, you know, knowing your score in your ideal life, most people don't even think about their ideal life. Like, do you even know what you would do if you made $1 million right now? If I gave you $1 million right now, Courtney, do you know what the first thing you would do?
I'd like to think I would, right? Based on some of the goals, things on the vision board. Yeah.
Why haven't you thought about it yet?
Well, I think it's a level of, I've thought through the vision board, but then if I had $1 million, which, okay, $1 million is going to get a portion of the board done, right? So it's like, okay, which one, right? The analytical part of my brain's going to be like, okay, what am I going to do with it here? Because you can't get everything with it, right? But yeah.
So a lot of people don't even think about their ideal life. What does it feel like every day? What kind of bed are you waking up in? What does it smell like? What are you hearing? What are you tasting? What are you seeing? If I was to give you $1 million and you don't even know what you're going to do with it, that's why you haven't made $1 million yet. You haven't even envisioned yourself having it.
One of the things I was talking about with my CPA, so we've got a CPA who, he's not on the call tonight, but he very active in the, and he's a broker, investor, real estate specific CPA. And so him and I just talk shop often, right? You don't get to do that with your CPA often, right?
Yeah.
But, and him and I were just talking shop because obviously he gets to see my financials up and close. And I'm just like, there's a level, I'm like, look, I have not been happy with my income for years because I know what value I bring to the marketplace and I know what I'm capable of. There's that like that dissatisfaction in the sense of like, I know I'm like the capability of what someone's capable of doing. And him and I have been talking about things along those lines. Okay, there's some practical things you can do, but I think so many people get stuck in, oh, I can only do this and that. Mindset is huge. I've made it a purpose of mine to saying, look, not only should I, because I'm huge on reading books, and not only it's easy to go read the technical stuff, go read this and that, but I've been like focusing on reading stuff that can help rewire my mind, those laws of attraction, those different things. Because like in my on my mirror, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go find problems today to solve. And then, you know, there's things that I'm gonna bring into my life by changing, and like you were talking about the programming, reprogramming things, because so many times you don't realize it, we get in our own way, the self-sabotaging. And I'm like, it may take a little bit longer, but hey, at least it's realizing it and making those adjustments and saying, hey, gotta make that effort to understand where my mindset is at and understand there's room for growth and change.
Yeah, and how do you see yourself? Do you, like, you can say, yeah, I know I bring a lot of this value, but there's some disconnect. So what I do teach people right now is, where is that disconnect and why? Like pointing it out, because a lot of times it's like in the shadow. You don't understand why you're sabotaging yourself because you know what you want, but you're not getting it yet. And a lot of people think, well, I got to do it like this. They got to know the how. And there's so many quotes on just take the first step. You don't need to see the first step, the whole staircase, right? There's so many quotes about that. Like even the Bible, there's quotes about this. There's quotes about it in business. There's quotes about it in every possible religion you could even imagine as well. And it's all about faith over fear. And the moment that you try to control something, you're fearing something. You're scared of something. And when you have to worry about the how, like the day-to-day, I got to do this at this time, I got to do this at this time, I got to do this. You're trying to control everything. You're scared. You're scared you're not going to reach your goals. That's what's fueling it. If you thought you would reach your goals, you wouldn't be scared. So it's about knowing. It's that faith of knowing. Every single one of you guys are a badass. You were born against so many odds, and you're here for a reason. Don't play it small. Every desire that's in your heart is in it for a guidance. That's your guidance system right there. And that's that good that I was talking about. If it's good, it feels good, and it benefits others, then go after it. That's your guidance system. Every time you feel bad or you're restrictive or you feel it in your body, most of us, we feel it in our body because the gut actually is more intuitive than our mind. And it doesn't have to think of all the situations we've been through, all of our experiences we've been through. It bypasses all of that. And it seems to go straight to our soul or our consciousness. And so our gut and our body will feel something's off before our mind even thinks something's off. Our mind will talk us out of things that we should be doing and talk us into things that we shouldn't be doing. So if you listen to your gut and you listen to your body, if you're doing something and all of a sudden you feel like your shoulders come in, or you feel like restriction somewhere in your body, or your gut drops, or not, now adventure's different, okay? But this is why self-awareness is so important. Know thyself. It really is so important. So you know when you should move forward because of it's an excitement, or it's fear because of ego, not because of what's actually happening. And so ego works for you because ego is actually there to protect you. It thinks, oh, if we do this, we're going to die. So like it's learning to teach your ego, no, we're not going to die. We're going to still go through with this. And that's those adrenaline junkies. Those are the people that feel scared and do it anyways. But it's because it's not going to kill you. But that self-awareness is very important. I teach people to also keep a journal every day of when you feel good and when you feel bad. Some people ask me, well, isn't that focusing on the negative? No, it's being what you are now. It doesn't have to be negative that you're upset. It doesn't have to be negative that you're angry. It doesn't have to be negative of any of that. It's just an awareness that that's where you are right now. And if you just accept that, you don't have to react off of it. That's where the negativity can come. But like if you want to do something that can hurt someone or yourself, yeah, it's going to be a negative consequence. But you can be what you are at any moment and just accept it and then understand it. That's whenever you start learning about yourself. And that's when you really do start understanding your flow. You start noticing what you really like. You know, a lot of people think they like something, but they don't just like the memory of what they had previously. It's not even something they really like. And they don't know that until they really start paying attention. You need to like date yourself. Like, what's your favorite food? What's your real favorite color? Do you even have a favorite color? Does it change on your mood? What's your favorite music? Or does that change on your mood? Are you somebody who would like to have a wig one day and have different hair the next day, cut your hair off the next day? Are you like a Lady Gaga person? There's nothing wrong with any of that. It's figuring out who you are. And the more you find out who you are, the more you can find your flow. And keeping a journal of like when you feel good and bad can let you know when you're in your flow and when you're not. And so when you're feeling great, you feel like, man, I just feel good. Like even if you're just listening to the radio, back roading, windows down, and everything just feels great, think of what you really want and just enjoy the moment too, be present, but then think, you know what, I'm going to make $250,000 in my next deal, and just know it, feel it. So I'm going to show you guys a meditation about how to feel into something. And the more you can do this, it'll help you rewire. I'm not saying rewiring and reprogramming is easy. There's going to be bugs that come along the way, just like your phone and just like your computer has software updates, and there are bugs that happen. What you'll notice, and this is why it's important to have self-awareness and having your journal, is you're going to notice where you have certain areas that you thought you learned that you're going to be like, man, I thought I learned this already. Life is like an onion. There's plenty of layers. Don't worry about it. Be compassionate with yourself and just look where you've come from. And having a journal can help you do that. But let's go back, let's go into the meditation, and I'll show you guys how to reset your energy throughout the day to be able to go on, and don't ever work in restriction. Okay, I just want to add that too. When you come from a place of restriction or feeling forced, you're not going to get the outcome you really want. And if you do, you had to work really hard for it and beat yourself up. And really, when you think about it, probably the outcome came easily when you were actually feeling good. So all the times you felt bad and forced were wasted. Don't waste it. So, all right. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and sit up. You want your heart over your pelvis and your head over your heart. So it's just being straight line. And then go ahead and close your eyes. You can put your hands down or up, whatever feels comfortable with you. Roll your arms, your shoulders back, and just let them down, and then make sure nothing's crossed. If you're Indian style, that's fine. And then go ahead and take a deep breath. And then when you don't think you can take any more air in, just take a little bit more in and just hold it. Not forcefully, just hold it. And then release out your mouth. And make a noise. And if you're like really stressed, make a really loud noise, okay? And then do it one more time. A little more air. Hold it. And you can shake, make sure you're not holding tension anywhere. Release. And then one more time. A little more air. Hold it. And release. Keep your eyes closed. Now I want you to picture you're getting a check from closing. Now let's just say $25,000 for this meditation, but you guys come up with what you have faith that you can do. So you got $25,000. I just handed you a check at closing for $25,000. Still in the envelope. You're opening up the envelope. You can smell the glue. You can smell the envelope. You can hear the crinkling. You can see the check. It has your name with $25,000 beside it. Now this is very real. How does that feel? And bring it into your heart, and I want you to hold it there. And I'm going to tell you when to release that feeling. And if you lose the feeling, just go right back to it, okay? I just gave you a $25,000 check. Just hold it. And then whenever you're ready, go ahead and take another deep breath. A little more air. And hold it. And then release out your mouth. And then just let it go. You created it right there. Holding it in your heart for 17 seconds or longer created it. Now it's a part of your reality. So everything that's holding you back from it is you. Any resistance you have towards it, trying to control it, trying to figure out the how, all of that. So you know what you do for the rest of the day? This is going to go against what everyone else says. Have fun. So have fun. Do what feels right in that moment. Go hang out with your family. If you feel like you need to make a call, do it, because you're gonna be stressed if you don't do something you feel like you need to do. But I want you to have fun with it, though. If you feel like you need to pay bills, I want you to write that check like, I'm so glad I got the money to pay these bills, and really feel it. And don't lie to yourself, though. If you don't have the money to pay the bills and you're writing a check, your body's going to know you're lying to yourself. You got to be honest about whatever you're thinking, okay, and whatever you're saying to yourself. So, like, if you're able to buy something, be happy that you can buy it. And then what you're going to notice is that you're going to be guided through the day. And there's going to be like these motivated, inspired actions where, like, you're going to go and be driving by a gas station. You're going to get this feeling, stop by that gas station. You're gonna be like, no, I got a full tank of gas. But no, for real, stop by that gas station, just walk in. You have no idea what's all being aligned for you, because you're in alignment right now. When you're feeling good and you've already created what you wanted, you have to step out of the way now. It's already happening for you. I know this sounds crazy. Cybernetics explains it scientifically a little bit more. There's a lot of books I can actually recommend after you guys read that one, but it works. So one time, this is just an example, I was going to start calling people for private investing. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna call these 25 people. I'm gonna, do my time blocking, even though it went against what I already knew. And then all of a sudden I felt like going to the coffee shop. And I was like, I don't even like coffee. No, I'm not. And I was like, Mitzi, do not talk yourself out of your inspired action. You know better. Just do it. You know that little voice that's like, grab the spare keys. And you're like, no, I don't need the spare keys. And then you get locked out of your car because you locked the keys in your car. Or it's like, grab the extra $1 right there. And you're like, no, I don't need the extra $1. And then you needed the extra $1. It's kind of weird how the gut kind of knows the future, right? So like, just believe it and do it. So I went to the coffee shop and I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I just went and ordered something, and then I sat down and I was like, well, I'm going to write about the desired life. I'm writing a book called The Desired Life, and that's the name for it right now. But so I started writing that. I'm like, I don't know what else to do actually. So I'm going to go with it. And it was a really beautiful day. I sat in front of the window and I found something that I liked. And I was like, it's cool. I like this. And then a guy sat beside me, not beside me, but like actually across from the coffee shop from me, and was talking law of attraction to this guy. And he's in a suit. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. I was like, oh, that's so weird. And so he's talking law of attraction. And of course, my ears perked up. And then like I needed to leave for some reason. And I started about to leave, but the parking lot was so full I couldn't even get out. So I called somebody. Oh yeah, I had to pick somebody up. So I called them and I was like, I don't know if I can get to you on time. I'm like stuck in traffic. Like I can't even get out of the parking lot, and it's pretty busy. And they're like, you know what? I've already found somebody else to pick me up. Don't worry about it. So I turned around, went back, and I came back in, and guess what? The only place was available. Because I was thinking, how can I get close to this guy? And then I was like, don't worry about the how, Mitzi. Everything's all good. And so I just continued to do my thing. I came back. The only seat available was next to the guy. And I was like, this is weird. So I sat down, and he had this guy, another meeting that came up, and this guy's talking. He was like, man, I wish people would just say what they really felt like on Facebook. It seems like people are always holding themselves back. And I turned around, I spoke up then. I was like, I'm not one of those people. I say what I think. And he was like, we need more people like that. What's your name, by the way? And we started talking. And the guy that was into law of attraction was a financial guy that actually had a lot of connections to private money. And I had fun, and probably wouldn't have even been through my list of 25 people by this point, because I hadn't even been there an hour yet. And I had found a guy that had all these connections. And then this other guy he was talking to was a commercial broker. And I'm into apartments and everything. And this commercial broker was like, well, my name's da-da-da, and I'm a commercial broker. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more also, because we started talking. I was like, hey, I do real estate. And he was like, are you in commercial also? And I was like, yeah, actually I am. And so we started forming a relationship. And this guy, the commercial broker, he introduced me to so many other people in this area. And all that happened because I was taking inspired action. I had fun the entire time. I didn't have to force myself to make 25 different phone calls. And I believed that it was going to happen either way. I just didn't know how. And when that happens for you, like you'll notice when you start trying to figure out the how and you're trying to force yourself, that all of a sudden restriction starts happening. You feel drained. You don't want to do it. You want to go to bed early, or you want to just do Facebook videos, or you just want to, you're avoiding it at all costs because it's not your path. And I know it seems like, wow, that's kind of hard to believe that things can just be that easy, but why not believe that? Because you live your beliefs. Everything you believe shows up in your life all the time because you're creating your reality off of what you choose to believe anyways. So what if you decided today to up your standards? No longer are you going to accept certain things in your life. What are those things? And just know that you can only control yourself, and then you do have control over the people you allow in your life. So are you going to be somebody who continues to bite their fingernails? Are you going to be somebody who continues to smoke? What's your excuse? Because the only reason you're still doing something you don't like doing is you've made an excuse that you believed. Again, it comes down to your beliefs.
It's huge. A testimony I can say to that is, I was told when I got started years ago that the average wholesale fee in this area is $5,000 to $6,000, something like that. And I was like, okay, like my first wholesale fee, I made $7,500. Okay. And so I was like, okay, I can see that. But what I started doing was I started programming myself. I was going to, on average make 5,000 or less. But when I started changing that, like a mastermind that I'm in, we said, you know what? We aim for no less than 15 on all of our deals. You know what's crazy? Our average deal size is so much larger now than what I've been told is the average for my area. And it's a lot of that is that attracting it, but it's also one of those things where, so I made the joke, I made a joke to a family member about something that my code word, I was gonna go meet up with someone. I said, look, my code word's gonna be pineapple if things go sour, right? I was meeting someone and they were like, it's weird, So I just sent that to my sisters. I'm joking, like it's my safe word, just joking about it being pineapple. It wasn't like that, but you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Where we freaking went that day, I saw pineapples. And so it was one of those things. Well, whatever, but it's okay. Pineapples are trendy right now. I don't know why I even chose that. It was a joke, right? But here's the thing is when you start focusing on, okay, so another example a lot of people know is you're thinking about buying a Jeep Wrangler. Whenever I bought my Tacoma, all of a sudden I started seeing Tacomas everywhere. Well, whatever you focus on, you see more of. And it was, it just becomes one of those things, right? And we sabotage ourselves so much. When just being like, oh no, those minimum standards.
Well, look, that's another important point too, is to not focus on negatives, because that'll have the same impact on you. And especially if you speak it out loud, always speak in the positive, always speak about what you want, speak it out, and don't say stupid stuff.
Yeah, like yes. And there's so much to say to all this. Like, yes, like I used to say, I don't want this. And guess what would happen is I would get more of that. It's wherever you put your energy. If you're like, I don't want this person to be like this anymore, and then that person continues to be that way, honestly, you're actually sending them motivated energy for them to continue to be that way. You have no idea how much you're co-creating with other people, and you're influencing other people's behavior around you by the way you think about them. Like, you are sending energy out to them, and they are getting inspired action to act off the energy you're giving them. So it's like amazing how much control you really have over your environment by the way you speak and the way you think. And the way you think is going to control how you feel, which is going to control how you act. And when you speak it out your mouth, it is already coming from your heart.
Hey, another quick point too, Mitzi, is this is part of the 21-day manifestation. It's one of the recommendations that you have, is to send 3 people that you don't like, hate, or giving issues, love, or any kind of good vibes. And I've been doing that, and that has helped with the particular individuals that I've been sending the vibes to. That has had a positive impact.
Yeah, so that's so amazing. Like, so I have this 21-day manifestation challenge, and if you join my Find Your Flow program, I'm not trying to sell that program right now or anything, but like part of it's 21-day manifestation challenge. And if you don't, and it's all about making sure you're rewiring to think in a positive way. It's not about like in a way of like forcing yourself to think positive, and it's not about like not recognizing the bad either, or like, you know, what you're really going through, because you don't want to do that, because that's lying to yourself. But when you feel an ill way towards somebody, like maybe you hate them, or maybe you really dislike them, or they're causing you a lot of trouble, like we all have somebody in our lives that are usually like that. And instead of thinking, oh my God, I just don't like that person, and feeling all this resistance, because when you feel your body, when you don't like somebody, how does it feel in your body? It doesn't feel good. And if you're not feeling good, you just knocked yourself out of alignment. They didn't do that to you. You did that to you. And you have to take 100% responsibility for you and how you feel and the way you choose to think. So instead of looking at them like, oh, I just don't like that person, think of them like a baby, you know, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way. It's just, if you have a hard time looking at them as an adult, thinking good thoughts about them, think of them like a little baby, and like, you know, like send them love, send them compassion, send them understanding, and like think of them in a good way, circle them up in a loving light, and just send them love. And you know, you'd be amazed at how their actions towards you change.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's forgiveness, and forgiveness is very strong. Most people don't ask for forgiveness that you really need to be giving it to the most. Those are the ones you really need to be giving it to, and it can change your life. Like if you don't hold any ill feelings or anything, because really you're only hurting yourself. You think that person cares? Some may, but really the ones that really hurt you probably don't. Okay? So that doesn't affect them, it only affects you. Why are you doing that to yourself? Just stop. And think like, do I want to feel like this? No, it doesn't feel good. I feel like a victim. Who wants to be a victim? You're powerless as a victim. You've got so much freaking power. Don't give that power away. Don't let somebody else take that power from you. You're doing that when you get angry with somebody or whenever you feel ill towards somebody. You just gave them your power of happiness. Like, why would you do that? Don't. And I know why you would do that. I get it. I'm human too. But like, don't. Just choose to do a different method and think, you know what? Let's see how fast I can change this around by sending this person love. But like this whole circle of alignment that I'm talking about is like this good feeling, and then acting out in that alignment. When you feel good, you do the work. When you feel bad, do something you know that makes you feel good, and keeping a journal of what makes you feel good can do that. Like going off for a walk, maybe around some water. Water has some powerful energy to it. It has a flow to it. You know, like the ocean has a flow, the river has a flow. Like go out there and just be around it. Just enjoy and watch nature. Nature will teach you so much if you just pay attention. You're supposed to live in the moment, not in your head. And that was something I had to really teach myself and get out of, was living in my head. And I used to be a horrible victim too. So I get everybody who's in that area now. I get it. Okay. But you don't have to be that way anymore. And you know how fast you can make that decision and change that? Like right now. You just be like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. It doesn't work for me. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to feel like that anymore. And then like, what do you want to feel like? And bring that into your heart. Like that meditation that I taught you guys just now, it's only like a 2-minute meditation. It's just a quick reset, and it allows you to go back to the energy of what you want to create, because you can become a magnet instead of a hamster on a hamster wheel. You know, like when people say, cold call this many people a day, do this, 10 exit, do this, it like starts giving me anxiety. I'm like, dude, I ain't doing that. And then I'll just call like 5 people, and I'll get like 2 deals out of it, because like I just think I'm gonna make a deal out of this. Whatever. Like I don't care what they say is gonna happen. That's their beliefs. This is my belief. Nobody's gonna make my beliefs for me. And so like I'll just call one apartment complex, get a hold of the owner, and see if they want to sell, you know, and like start a deal. And like that's how I do it. Like my stuff, like I have worked hard, okay? But the stuff that actually manifested, the stuff that actually happened, came easy. And it felt easy. There was an ease, there was a flow to it. Like when I made my biggest deal, it was actually 400, I think it was almost 440,000 is what I actually made in one deal. I did that in like 28 days, and it was brought to me. It was on freaking LoopNet. I told the guy to take it down, and then I started like, I had to do a lot of like problem solving, but it was being in the moment and actually listening that allowed me to do the problem solving that I needed to do to make the deal go through, because it could have fell through many different times. It was on its way to fall through many different times. So it was like, no, it's happening. That was just my thought. Like, oh, it's happening. I had people close to me, which they're close to me anymore because I realized they weren't the right people. And that's something you'll notice through each obstacle you have, is like, who really deserves to be in your space? But like, there were people close to me that were like, actually, nobody believed it could happen. I was the only one that believed it could happen. And I'm like, no, it's gonna happen. Anytime somebody told me something, the thing is when somebody tells you something, it's up to you to accept that belief. It's up to you. And you know what? Anybody else's opinion about you or your situation is none of your business anyways, especially if it doesn't align with what you want to believe. I'm not saying be delusional. Well, maybe sometimes it would be good to be delusional if that's getting you close to your goals. But you actually have to feel it. You have to have faith in it. But I had faith. I'm like, no, it's going to happen. And anytime somebody said it, I like canceled it out immediately. I'm like, no, it's going to happen. And they're like, no, it's not. And then they start talking. I'm like, I'm walking away. I'm not having any of this. I'm not having any of this. Because the thing is like, what is repeated over and over and over to you will get into your subconscious mind. That's why a vision board is so powerful. And if you don't feel like getting a vision board right now, just freaking write a check and post it to your wall. I'm not saying force yourself to even do a vision board. Go with it when it feels right to you right now too. Like, I know some people are like, well, I don't feel like going to work, but I need to go to work. Okay, I get that. The moment you start thinking you need to do something, you will need to do it. You're right. So, and that's powerful, is what you think. I had an ex that he did not go look for a job, but he was the most manifester person I've ever met. And he taught me a lot of this flow, actually. He said one time he was just sitting there and I'm like, do you think that somebody's just going to knock on the door and give you a job? And he looks up wholeheartedly. Yes, I do. That's exactly what I'm expecting. And while I'm talking to him, griping at him about how that's impossible and that just doesn't happen, we hear a knock on the door. And I'm like, who's knocking on the door? He goes and answers the door and somebody offers him a freaking job. And I was like, who was that? And how does this always happen to you? I was like mad because he didn't live in my rules of how the world should be. And I was like, why does this always work for you like this? I want this to work for me like this because I was always working so hard. And I'm like, what in the world? But he believed it would always work the way he wanted to. Like, completely, full faith. There was no like, oh, he was lying to himself about it. No, like he would look at you with all like total belief. Yes, I do believe somebody's gonna knock on the door and offer me a job. And seriously, it was like a minute later, the door's knocking and offering him a job. And I'm like, what? Like, who wouldn't want to have that life? Where you think, my daughter, I've been working with this for her for a few years, and this is just another example, but she, we went to Cheddar's and we ordered, and she was like, man, the waiter had already walked away, and she goes, man, I wanted some honey butter croissants. I want to get that. So when he comes back, let's ask him for that. And I was like, well, you know how to work it. And she looks at me and he comes back with honey butter croissants in his hand. He goes, on the house, complimentary. Here's some honey butter croissants. And I looked at her and I was like, I told you. And she was like, thank you. It just came to her. And that's how things, you guys have known people in the flow, right? Everybody knows that lucky person. That you're like, oh, you almost hate the person because they're so lucky.
They're so lucky. They get all, all this stuff.
Yeah. What if you could be that person too?
Sure. It's funny. I buy a lot of my books from thrift stores, right? And because you find so many great ones because people just discard them and they're like brand new. But sometimes when I go, obviously you can't control what books are there. There's times where like I just go do it, or there's times where I'm like intentional. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna find some of the books that are on my list. And I can't tell you, I've like, it sounds simple, but it's one of those things where it's like, going back to that self-sabotage, so many times we talk down, oh, I'm not gonna find anything good in here, right? Well, of course you're not.
Yeah. We think about what we don't want.
Right.
Oh, I'm probably going to go out and date and find a lot of weirdos. And then we find a lot of weirdos and we prophesize like what we don't want. And then we make it happen. And then we're like, yeah, I told you. Like reinforcing that we're right somehow when we're just sabotaging ourselves into not getting what we want. I don't know why.
It's funny, but it's funny, but it's not funny. I've got an appointment tomorrow with a seller who's been wishy-washy, and it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what, this deal, it's falling apart because of the seller. They've just been XYZ, right? But this is reminding me to set that intention and reset the way I look at it, because again, a lot of times we let other people or the atmosphere set kind of our mood for it and how we're receiving and how we're acting toward it. And it's huge, because then you're not living by design. At that point, you're not saying, hey, no, this is what's meant for me.
Yeah. And we start getting scared, and then we start trying to control, and we aren't really living with the right intention. And it's about living with the intention of you are going to get what you want and fully believing it. Not lying to yourself. Again, I want to make sure I'm making that very clear. I'm not like one of those positivity junkies that are like, just think positive.
Right.
Like, no, it's about being positive. It's not about thinking it, it's being it. And happiness is a choice. positivity is a choice, and you can choose right now you're going to be it. Yeah, you'd be like, well, my husband's an alcoholic, or my husband's a nag, or my wife's a nag, or this or that. Okay, so are you trying to create more of that? Are you going to just keep on talking about what you don't want again? See, there's so many layers and levels to this that most people don't even recognize, that they're like not recognizing when they're creating what they don't want by talking more about what they don't want, instead of actually talking more about what they appreciate. What do you love about the person that you have around you? Why were you even attracted to them in the beginning? Instead of looking at the things you don't like anymore about your life, about your house, about your spouse, about your kids, whatever it may be, why don't you start looking at the things that you do like and focusing more on that, and talking about how grateful you are about that, being appreciative about that, so that you can have more of it. And so like with the whole alignment, and so it's not about like living in this woo-woo world where you just do whatever you want, wherever, whatever. You can get there though, you can, but you have to work through your belief system and your old programming to make sure you really can do that, and you can test it. So like just some tests to do and things to work on to get there is like, how about when you're at a busy restaurant or going somewhere that's busy, maybe after COVID or whatever, but like if you're going somewhere, just think, I'm going to get a front row parking spot, and be thankful that you're already getting a front row parking spot. You're just going to get it. And you're going to get a great table when you get in. There's somebody leaving at the perfect time for you. It doesn't matter how busy you are. Isn't there always somebody leaving? You got to have faith that you're coming in at the right time. Every single time you come in at the right time to get that front parking spot. And know it. Don't guess it. Don't second guess it. You cannot second guess things and think you're going to make it happen. That's the thing of working it, so you can work that faith muscle. Is like, just know, it's a knowing. You're going to get a front parking spot. And when you start noticing yourself guessing it, because like you have to go around a second time. Well, first off, you already guessed it before you got there, and that's why you're having to go around the second time. But if you're going around the third time and you're like, yeah, I should just park over here. And then you're getting out of your car and you notice a car that's pulling out in the front parking spot. And you're like, dude, yeah, so you have to work it. And this is that leveling up, like Mike was talking about, like a little bit with the manifestation and know your score, is that you start noticing yourself leveling up, realizing, like when I first made my first like $50,000, at first I was told $50,000 was like an unheard of wholesale fee. That was my very first wholesale fee and my second wholesale fee. I made $50,000 twice in a row. You know the reason why I didn't make $50,000 my third time, I only made $25,000 on my third deal? Because somebody told me I wasn't even supposed to be making $50,000 a deal. I didn't know that before that. I didn't know there were limits. I was like, and then I found out that that was my biggest deal my mentor had ever had, was like my $50,000 deal. So he bragged about it. And it wasn't until I heard him bragging about it that I realized I wasn't supposed to make $50,000 those first two deals. What? And then I started second guessing myself. And then I made $25,000, and then I was told that was still a big wholesale fee. And I was like, what? And my next one was like $15,000. I was making myself go down to fit what other people were believing. And then I was like, wait a second, what are you doing, Mitzi? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so then my second year, I think it was my second year. Yeah, second, 2.5 years into it, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I thinking only 15,000 to 25,000? So my deals were between like 15,000 to 25,000 for a little while. And then sometimes I was even getting $5,000 deals, or even like a $3,000 deal here or there. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to think this way anymore. I'm going to make over $100,000 on my next deal. That's when I got my $400,000 deal. I just knew it. I had Post-it notes on my mirror every morning that I brushed my teeth. What I did is I felt into the things that I'd written, and I noticed I wrote it in future tense. I was like, wait a second. Like I had been doing it for like a week, and I was like, wait a second, all my Post-it notes are in future tense. I'm saying, I will have this. I will be this. And I was like, I know better than this. And I took them all down. I rewrote them as present tense. And I was like, I am a multimillionaire. I made, or I am making this much, or I travel to the best places in the world and eat at the best restaurants. I am compassion. I see myself through my soul, and I see other people's souls. I see past the human side, and I see their soul. You know, I would say different things, and I noticed like, okay, that present tense made a big, big difference, because when you're constantly repeating yourself, you will be, this will happen, you're leaving it for tomorrow. And what that does is it leaves it for tomorrow. And tomorrow is never today. So you have to think about it today. How does it feel today to have it? Like if I was to give you $1 million and you don't know what you're going to do with it, means because you haven't even thought about what it would feel like to have $1 million yet. That's why you haven't had it yet. You don't think it's possible. That's what it comes down to. Every one of you guys, the reason why you haven't gotten what you want really is because you don't think it's possible for you yet. You think you have to work for it somehow. You think you have to prove yourself. You think you have to become worthy of it. What if I told you all right now you're already worthy of it? You're the only one holding yourself back from it because of the way you think about it. You all know somebody that I'm talking about, that person that really just knows they deserve better. They know they deserve this. So that's all they get. They don't settle for little stuff. So stop settling and you're gonna find your flow. You're going to, I'm gonna make sure I'm not over talking here, so I wanna look at the time real quick. I'm gonna have a light because I got it dark in my room. But so like, there's steps to get there, of course. And Mike and I, we talk every week on this because I'm helping him on finding his flow, on knowing his score, his ideal stuff. It's a big steps every week, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. My score goes up every week.
Yeah.
My score goes up every week.
And it's like, and life feels better, right? Feels easier.
Because I'm working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm working on me. I'm working on making me a better person. And like you say, it's not only because we don't feel worthy ourselves, but we also believe what others believe about us. So that's the other thing that we have to tune out, that noise, and ignore it.
Yes. When I had other people that weren't even willing to talk to me in the real estate game when I first started, I had them straight up shun me and be like, I'm not talking to you. And I'm like, really? I remember sitting back and I was like, I'm going to freaking kill it. I'm going to be one of those people that they come back to later and they're asking me questions. And I just made that decision right then and there. I'm like, yeah, let's see. And within a year, like within like 8 months, I'm already getting on podcasts. Within a year, I'm already like on like Propelio TV. And like these people are reaching out to me like, hey, Mitzi, I know I like, you know, kind of like shunned you off a while back, but like, I just wanted to pick your brain, see how you were doing it. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure you do. But of course, I didn't want to be like them. I was going to be me. So don't let anybody influence you to be like them because they were one way or another. Always be who you want to be and be proud of. Pride isn't always the best feeling. It's not. If you read Power versus Force, it's another book that I really like. If you look at the Power versus Force chart with Dr. David R. Hawking, pride is actually under. So there's a chart that says force and power. So above a certain level is power, and that's courage and above. And when you reach love and above, you're like in this really powerful level. But everything under, which I think pride is the first one under, is force. So every time you feel those feelings that are underneath the power chart, that are in the force chart, you have to force everything in your life if you're feeling in those feelings. And that's why I don't believe in feeling shame, guilt, anything like that, or trying to make other people feel bad. I used to. I used to think you had to feel bad to make sure you weren't going to do it again. But that keeps somebody in a lower vibration anyways, and that makes it harder. But if you remind people of their greatness and show them love, sometimes you have to show them love from a distance. This is something else that you have to recognize is you're like a plant, okay? And if you have the close circle around you, you have to make sure they're fertilizing you. The close people around you better be fertilizing you and better not be pissing on you, because like you, you're a plant. And I'm sorry, Courtney, if I'm saying inappropriate language, but if you have people that are putting crap on you, and not the good manure, but the bad stuff, like, you're not going to flourish as much. You're not. And you are meant to like really flourish and really bloom. And you have to be careful about who you put around you to make sure they're fertilizing everything. Because like some people are out there to sabotage you too. And you are already probably sabotaging yourself enough. You don't need any help. So look at your circle and see, who do I spend my most time with? Are they really helping me grow? Or are they hurting me? And unfortunately, sometimes it could be the ones that you love or the ones that say they love you. And it's not that they don't love you. It's that's just where they are in their own awareness and in their own knowing. And it's not up to you to change that either. Stay in your lane. As you stay in your lane and you keep your lane clean, other people are going to start noticing the differences and changes in you. And are going to be like, how do you do that? You don't think people have asked me, how do you do this? Like, I've had people who are like always talking about hustle harder, and they're like, Mitzi, you're like always on the beach. You're always like doing something that's fun. Like, how do you do that? And like still do things? Because like, I'm a single mom. People don't pay my bills. I pay my own bills. I don't have anyone I can ask to be like, hey, can you spot me some $20 for gas? I don't have that. Like, I have to make sure I make my bills, and I do this position full time. And I'm not cold calling every day. I don't cold call. When I cold call, it's very targeted. At the moment, I feel like it. I'll pick up the phone, I'll call the person, be like, hey, what's up? And I'm very in the flow. So like, people like feel that energy over the phone, and they actually want to talk to me. Like, I talked to a big storage facility guy the other day, and at first he was blowing me off. And then I don't know what I said or whatever, but I was just going with it. And like, he was like, hey, yeah, we had an hour-long conversation, and he's ready to introduce me to all sorts of people now. Because at first he was like, oh, my facility is way too big for you. Yeah, there's no point in you talking to me. And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, well, tell me more about that. What are you all into? Or something like that. And I just went with it, and like, it became a really great conversation, and that became a really great connection. But most people would have just let them off the phone because they're doing it in a forceful manner and forceful feelings, not confidence. And they're going to be like, oh, it's too big. Okay, well, I'll call you back. Is it okay if I call you back in a month? All right, thanks, bye. You know, it's like, that's how people are. Like, when people say they've been cold calling for 6 months and not getting anywhere, I'm like, send me some of your cold call recordings, because I can probably pick up really quickly where you're not having confidence and you don't know how to take control of the conversation by asking the right questions, because he who asks the questions controls the conversation. And if you let them take over, you lost the conversation. You can always take it back over, but you don't want to do it in a forceful, aggressive way. You want to do it in a way that is a power, not a force, because people feel that energy. But does anyone have any questions on what I'm saying so far? And I'm hoping I'm making sense for people.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
I'll let you go, Mike, real quick. Reiterating what you posted today, that quote, the Jim Rohn quote. I love it. I actually have it in my office. It says, got it over here too. Talking about like wanting to make your first million or to become a millionaire, not for the money, but because what you'll have to become to do it and to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much self-awareness in growing to be the person that has that. Like, anybody who says, oh, that person had that business given to them, if they didn't have the right mentality, it would be lost.
Well, that's why lottery people get money and they lose it, right?
Mhm.
The lottery syndrome happens to a lot of people. It's not what you have, it's what you have here. It's your mentality, your mindset. That's why people can lose everything. These people who have been millionaires, billionaires. Didn't Kanye like go bankrupt or something and then became a billionaire all over again? Didn't Donald Trump do the same thing? It has nothing to do with what they had. It was what they had here. Like nothing material. If you watch Donald Trump, I don't care if you like him or not, the guy knows how to work law of attraction. He's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm the greatest. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure it didn't like freeze up. Mike, you froze up. But yeah, it's like if you watch these people, they work law of attraction. And if you watch the people who seem to be lucky, I'm actually starting to write a course on how to become lucky, because it's about finding your flow and really working that flow and becoming the lucky person. It's not like you didn't have to work for that. You have to work on yourself. But the thing is nobody can take you away from you. They can steal your business. They can steal your clients. I've had people straight up break into my business, steal every file I had, even some computers, and start their own company, thinking that they could take what I had. And they did take a lot, but they're nowhere. You don't even know their name, but you still know me. And I told them one thing, and they were like, "We're gonna ruin you. We're gonna make sure like we're better than you." And I was like, "Why are y'all even doing this? Like, I never did anything wrong to y'all." It was just like an ego thing for them. I'm like, "What are y'all? There's no point. I don't care if y'all want to be successful too. I think that's great, but you didn't have to do it this way." But you don't even know these people that did it. I could say their names. There's no point, but you don't even know who they are, even if I did, because they couldn't steal me. And that was one thing I told them. I was like, "You can't steal me." That was the magic sauce behind all this stuff, guys. And that's the thing, is you got to have that kind of mentality, knowing like what kind of you have, and like and you know, claiming it. But so on finding your flow, it's about, really, guys, think about what you really want and write it down. Get very super specific. What would you do with $1 million? If you want to be a millionaire, what would you do if you were a millionaire? How would your day-to-day look like? How would it feel like? How would it smell? How would it taste? Bring in all the senses you possibly can and start picturing that as much as you can, and quit making excuses why it can't be yours anymore. Just know that it is. And notice anytime that you have some bugs coming up in old programming, and when you're doing the new programming, recognize it and be okay with it and be like, "Oh, that was a bug. All right, gonna go back to my new programming again." You know, like, it's all good. It's just part of the journey. Have fun along the way and have a lot of compassion with yourself while you're doing it. So does anyone have any questions on any of it, or anyone think that it sounds completely impossible and just too far-fetched?
You guys, you can unmute yourself if you want to chat with Mitzi, answer questions. You can unmute yourself. I think you need to go down to the bottom left. I think that's how you would do it.
And if you guys want to add anything to, like, knowing that, yeah, this is true, this does work, please add to it too. Because at one point I didn't think this stuff was possible, and then I started noticing it working for others, and I was like, I want to be a lucky person. I want to be like this. And I started working it, and it works. But there's a lot that I had to learn about myself and the way I really believed about myself and the world around me.
How many of you guys are looking to do your first deal? I know that just looking through here, we'll let you guys ask some questions, but if you're looking to do your first deal, either type it in the comments, unmute yourself. What are some things that you're wanting to bring into your life through this, and how you get, how you going to do it, as far as training your thinking, things along those lines.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Hey, Selena.
Hey, Mitzi, I had to step away for my kids. They were being super loud. But I'm outside. I've been listening to everything. I love it. I've been following it myself. I know, I've been telling you about it. And I mean, manifestation is definitely real. For me, it's really important to really be clear with your desires. Like, you have to make it clear, because the universe is so funny. It has a really funny sense of humor, and how things work out, but they do work out, and mindset is like completely important.
I'm so glad that you said it, to be super specific. You really do have to be super specific. Like,
yeah,
the more specific, the better. Like, if you want a partner, write down 35 characteristics you want in that partner, not 7 and just try to settle on 5. Like, be super freaking specific, because it'll be like, oh, you wanted this? Here you go. And you're gonna be like, no, I didn't like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I was telling you, like I wanted a certain amount, and I was working on it. I kept pushing through it, like no matter what came to me. And then it took longer than I wanted, because I really felt like, when you're working too hard, like you need to step back, like just let it, it's gonna come. Like, and that's what I did. And then it finally happened, and it's like funny, because like I have that certain amount in my bank account, but it's like, well, I can't touch it. It's like, so you really have to be clear on, okay, I want it at this time, July 2020, this amount made out to me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm being super specific, because I've witnessed it. I know it's real. I know I'm capable of it. And I'm just, trying to keep that flow.
Something else that I add is, like, if I say that I want a specific amount of money, I say that it's going to come from other people, but no one's going to be hurt. Like, I think it's going to come from a good place, because, something could happen. You can get an insurance settlement, but it may be losing something too. And so,
right,
like, just get it like it's going to be a gain, and it's as, how does it feel? It feels good when you get it. Don't just think of the number amount, but how does it feel when you get it too? And that's why I say bring in all your senses. How does it taste? How does it feel? How does it smell? Like, are you waking up in a king-size bed in the beach and there's a window open? Maybe it's on the Georgia beach, or is it in Cancun? Is it like humid, or is it a coolness? Like, do you hear the seagulls out there? Is there a cook downstairs cooking your breakfast, or the kids coming in and jumping on your bed? Like, how does your day really look and feel? All the way to the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, and that's what I've been hearing, like, from different sources. And that was one of the main things that was connected, was that sense of emotion and bringing it to you.
Yeah. Because whatever we think, we feel, we act off of. And when we change our way of thinking and we do it enough, our subconscious mind now allows us to act in a way that accomplishes what we really want, because the brain doesn't know that you haven't accomplished it yet whenever you start thinking and feeling it. It starts processing it and making you act in a way to make it happen. You can make your hormones work for you instead of against you.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. So
great. Thanks, Selena. Thanks for adding to that.
Welcome.
Anybody have any? Oh, Christopher?
Yeah, I really appreciate everything that you talked about, because I actually started researching like wholesaling and stuff like a couple weeks ago. And then I'm trying to, just get into it or whatnot. And I started contacting other like wholesalers that I saw like locally, like the signs around town. And then this was last week, and they happened to call me back today. And then they suggested Courtney to me. And I looked her up on Facebook while I was driving. I shouldn't be on the phone while I'm driving, but I looked it up, and it said, oh, sign up for a Zoom for the real estate group in Slidell. So signed up immediately. Here I am, and it's like everything that you're saying is just reassuring, because I mean, I really feel like I can do this. Like, and like everything you're saying is just kind of like amen in it. So.
Then it's already yours. It already is. And so like I love that, because like you're already in the flow, because it just flowed for you. And here you are. Yeah, like, so it's already yours. And like, just think of, well, what do you want? What do you feel like you can actually do? Like, what a dollar amount? How soon do you think you can do it? And
I'm ready to start calling people just with a different mentality. I mean, I don't know, you just have to think it's going to happen versus I'm going to do this.
And do you want it to come easily?
I mean, nothing comes easy.
Yeah,
This is life.
See, there's your limiting belief right there. There it is. Do you want it to come easy?
I do.
Then allow it to come easy. Drop the belief that it can't come easy. It can come easy. I can guarantee you that. I made $400,000 easily. It just came to me. I didn't even have to make a cold call. A bird dog brought it to me. Do you want that?
Oh, yes.
So do you believe it can happen easily for you now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So instead of, don't say nothing comes easily anymore. Just, that's no longer in your vocabulary. Now everything comes easily. Everything you want. See, when I talk to people, I find like their limiting beliefs like that, like you speak your limiting beliefs all the time and you don't even know it. You're constantly circulating it so you can keep on believing it. There's no need for it. So write down like what your ideal life is. Like how easy do you want your first deal to be? How much money do you want to make? Do you want a realtor to bring it to you? Do you want to just make a Facebook post and have somebody that sees it? Or do you want to look at Facebook Marketplace and find it right then and there and just call them and just be like making a deal right away, and they actually tell you the amount they want and all that? And it's at the price that you can sell it for and make $25,000 off easily. Like, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. So think very specifically, how do you want it to come to you? And then anything that, whenever you said nothing comes easily, how did that feel in your body? Did you feel any restriction anywhere when you said it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, like when we say beliefs that really aren't working for us, you'll feel a little restriction in the body somewhere. You'll feel it in your heart area, you'll feel it in your shoulders.
I find it's that cynicism, right? Like, well, kind of too good to be true. And I get that there's a level, like, because there's a level that I'm analytical and I could be cynical in my mind. And there's that sense of the frou-frou, the hey, I'm just going off of hype here. But the understanding here is, look, I pay to be in larger rooms. I know, Mitzi, you do too. Masterminds, things like that. And the higher up I get there with people, the more money they make. This is the conversations they're having. It's not, oh, well, this is just something you need to put to the side, learn once. Like, it's crazy how much you come back around to this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you're living your life every day. How do you want your life to feel? How do you want the journey to be? It's not the destination, because once you get there, it lasts like, what, 20 seconds, and then who cares? You've accomplished it. Now onto the next thing.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. It doesn't have to be a lot of action. Take a lot of inspired action. Get in your groove, and then take the inspired action that comes to you when that happens. And if you guys want to message me on Facebook, y'all can like message me and be like, Mitzi, these are my thoughts. And I'll point out where you're having limiting thoughts, where you need to change that programming so you can make things easier on you. Because the more you think of it, and reiterate it, the more you're still going to act off of it and sabotage yourself and make things that way. You're already prophesizing what is going to happen. Like, so be careful what you're prophesizing for yourself.
It's true. Thank you.
Linnell, Christopher, I'm glad you joined in, man. Way to take action, though. You heard about it and you did it, right? That's huge. So many people hear about it, they're like, oh, I'll do that next week, you know?
I know, this is awesome. This guy's gonna kill it. He's already got the attitude. He's got this. Yeah.
Linnell in the comments, she said, I have given myself permission to live in the moment. I cut out everybody last week to collect myself. I had to stop caring about certain things. Goal, work my first deal within 3 months. Action, she says.
Yeah, what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy, cut out the stuff that doesn't make you happy, but also know that there's sometimes growth. And whenever certain things are pointed out to you, sometimes there's growing pains and there's labor pains, and knowing the difference between that and not cutting that out, and so that you can continue to grow. So that also is just part of awareness, but like that's something I also had to notice was whenever I was just wanting to cut off growth. But I'm not saying that for you, Linnell, at all. But I do know that I have a tendency to hit on the ego a little bit, you know, because the ego is thinking, stay in the old way of thinking and you will stay alive. That's what it thinks. And really, it's training the ego to know I'm not going to die when this happens, and being okay and realizing, you know what, there's nothing bad happening right now. Everything's okay. And going with it, you know, and like also realizing how are you thinking about something? Like if you're like not liking somebody because maybe they tap on your ego a little bit, or you may not like paying bills because you just don't like your money going to that, how can you change that way of thinking so you can actually make it something that is a good perspective to help you out too? Because sometimes, but it is good cutting out the bad people, the people who think, the naysayers, the no, that can't happen, you know, all of those kind of people, the excuse makers, oh, you know that ain't gonna happen for you. Why do you keep on working towards that? Those people, yeah, don't share your goals, don't share your dreams with those people, because they'll just cut them down and cut those people out, at least for now. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to like hit on anybody's stuff, like, you know, bring any negative stuff towards anything. I'm just trying to bring up a bunch of awareness on everything so you can really truly find your flow.
Anyone else have any more questions, you guys?
Hi, Mitzi. My name is Nancy Garcia.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Well, I have a lot of work to do from this video today. I've learned a lot about myself, that I doubt myself, that I don't listen to my gut, and I don't even know what my heart desires. I just know that where I'm at today, like where I'm at right now, I guess I'm just comfortable with it, but I know that I want more, and I know I can do better. I have a big family. I have 5 children, 2 grandbabies, and I want better for them. And I want to be able to provide for them and go to the beach with them. Like I've always said, I want to have like a getaway house at the beach, you know, so that we could go, like in times like right now, I'd be at the beach right now through all this coronavirus stuff going on, and not having to worry about being around anybody or social distancing or anything like that. But I do know that that's what my heart desires. So now I need to just work on, and I love that meditation that you did, brought me to tears, because I saw myself, when I closed my eyes, I saw myself jumping up and down, excited, because I've never had that type of money before. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I've always wanted to do stuff like this. And I'm 40 years old, and I'm starting like from the bottom, but you know what? I think I can do it.
You got this. And some, what?
I'm a people person. I love to, you know, interact with other people's complete strangers mostly, you know,
Yeah.
just to carry a conversation here and there. But yeah, I have a lot of work to do with myself and the way that I think.
You know, with what you said already, so at first you said you didn't really know what you wanted to do, but then you went into you want a beach house and you want to take your kids to the beach, grandkids, whatever. And but then you also brought up a fear. So something that we've been taught as adults is to say what we want, but also back it up with something that prevents it from happening. Well, I wanted to be an astronaut, but I couldn't do that because of this. And we learned to do that because it was almost like a bad thing to be able to claim what you really wanted at one point in our lives. It's what we were taught to do. So you actually do know what you want, but you'll need to just get clearer and clearer. So you want a beach house. How big do you want it to be? Do you want it to have that made? I actually am not scared of COVID because in my law of attraction, I know this may sound kind of crazy to some people. I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
I just know I'm not going to get it. And I go to the beach still. I am actually probably going to go to the beach tomorrow.
I love the confidence that you have, and I love that you're trying to share that with all of us, and because we sure need it.
Yeah, like I'm not going to get it. And if I get it, I'm not even going to notice it. It's not even going to affect me.
Yes.
And then also, like I'm still going to live my life, and you know, do you want a small beach cottage? Like
it has to be a big one, ma'am.
Okay, so you want a big one?
Yes.
Yeah. So how big do you want it to be? 3 bedroom, 5 bedroom, 5 bath? Do you want a bathroom in each room and an extra bathroom on the outside? Do you want a beach house also? Like, a beach, a pool also? That's an infinity pool. Do you want a pool space for guests so they don't actually have to be in your house? Like, get very, very, very specific. Now
Yes,
you know at least you want a beach house.
Yes. I need to envision it because I also want a big ranch.
Hey, you can have it.
You have to have gated at the front and driving all the way to the back to the house. I want it to be big and have farm animals. All
now,
that.
how many acres? How many acres is big? 1,100 acres? 10,000 acres?
I want to say like 10 because then I have to do the yard work or find somebody to do it. And it's going to be costing.
Yes, you don't have to do the yard work.
I'm going to have to pay for somebody, right?
No. What if you just have a ranch hand that lives in like a trailer or like a little house that you build out there that they live there for free and they do all the yard work for free for you?
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
You can have anything. See, a lot of us have been taught to think in limited ways.
Yes.
You're like, well, I'd have to do the yard work or have to pay somebody. No, you don't. What? Do you want to believe that?
Nope.
Okay, then now you don't have to believe that anymore.
See, my brain doesn't work as good as yours does.
No, it took me a little bit to get here.
So I'm
was
gonna
a lot of self-awareness.
I'm gonna go try to find that book so I can get a little more knowledge.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-awareness and just like start writing off of what you already know though. And then when you start noticing any limiting beliefs in it, cancel it out. Okay, the reason why I'm saying, oh, just let it go. Cancel it out. You don't have to believe that anymore. We're now putting in a new belief, a new program. It no longer has to be the old program anymore. Now that you recognize it, you can delete it. But
Yes, and thank you very much for showing me that meditation. I'll be able to use that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Do it throughout the day as many times as you need to. I recommend at least in the morning and at night. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks for chiming in. It really helps. Yeah. And Diana, I see you said it's hard when the person or people closest to you put out the most negative vibes. Completely understand. I used to only date like complete narcissists, and I did not have the best childhood. It was really bad. Like where I came from or built myself out of. And what's funny is, like, you know, after not talking to a lot of people who were what I would say would be pretty abusive towards me, and I was sending them love, they started coming back into my life, and they had changed. And I also had created healthy boundaries where if somebody decided to talk to me a certain way or anything, I would point out, do you realize you just called me stupid? And if they were like, yeah, I called you stupid, you're being stupid. Be like, well, I don't need to have this conversation any longer, but you know, hope you have a great day. And you let them go. Or if they're right beside you and they're acting that way, don't react. That feeds the fire, okay? But let them do their thing. But while they're talking to you in that negative way, I want you to go back into your little rainbow circle. While they're doing it, I want you to daydream. I want you to think of what they're really saying, what you really would want them to be saying to you. How would it feel? Bring yourself there when you're in that moment. That's what I had to do. I lived with somebody who was very abusive at one point. And when somebody's throwing you around, it's kind of hard to be positive, or punching you or anything like that. It's hard to be positive. I get it. I get it. But when it's done, or whatever may be happening to you, when it's done, start thinking about what it would feel like for that not to be happening. What would you rather be happening? Feel it. And send love to that person. And then as soon as you can, get out of that situation. You have the ability at any moment to get up and start walking. I don't care if you say you don't have a car. I've been in that situation. I didn't have a car. I had just had a foreclosure. I was homeless. I had just gone into a wreck, didn't have a car. I didn't have anything, nothing. And you can have any moment, you have the power to get up and start walking and never go back. If somebody's just not supportive on goals and big dreams, you don't have to listen to them. You don't have to believe what they believe either about you or your dreams. Make it where it makes you get a fire under you, like the people who wouldn't talk to me when I was first starting this business, and use that as a fire to really light you up and be like, oh, you don't think I can do it? Watch me. Watch me, you know? And, you know, like you've got to play some music that's got that kind of thing going with it, that theme, you know, go for it. You know, whatever you need to do. Anytime they start doing that, do that. Like I wake up and I play Feeling Good. Birds flying high. You know, like all of that. Like I listen to that, and I listen like upbeat stuff. I listen to some Esther Hicks, all of that. And then I'll have people like say some negative stuff to me. I used to have it really bad, some really negative stuff, and not very supportive, and telling me how everything would go wrong. And I would just be thinking in my head, I don't accept what you're saying to me. And you know what? I felt compassion. I used to have empathy, but I actually have a difference now between empathy and compassion. But I would feel compassion because what that person is really telling me is what they really feel about themselves. They were letting me know how they really believe. And dude, that must suck. And I started saying that to them. I'd be like, you know, I'm sorry that it must suck to really believe the way you believe. You know that you can have better, right? You know that you're a very powerful person and you can have everything you want too. You know what? If you don't know that, let me show you. I'm gonna show you that you can be that way. I'm gonna show you because I'm gonna show it with me. So just watch. And it's amazing. Like most people don't realize they're putting off their own limiting beliefs on you anyways. So what anybody says about you really isn't about you. Like I said, it's none of your business. It's more about the way they think. It's their thinking they're revealing. They're not revealing anything about you. And when you understand that, you can actually come at them with compassion instead of having to react like you got to defend yourself, because it has nothing to do with you. Nothing anyone does or says ever has anything to do with you. It has everything to do with how they think and feel. Does that make sense?
And a lot of people leave themselves too.
And then start like going in supportive groups. There's like women's real estate groups. There's other things like that can be very supportive, and start putting yourself more in those areas as often as possible, because again, you're a plant. Like, make sure you're fertilizing yourself. So does that help?
Excellent stuff, Mitzi. Well, look, I know we've taken a little bit extra time of yours, but thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, for helping us get in the right mindset as far as knowing that, and then knowing too that matters, right? Putting that emphasis on it. So many people are all about the how. You know, they're so technical. And so many people learn the technical, but they can never achieve the results of the technical because they block themselves, right? So, but thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you coming out. And I'm seeing over in here, Selena says she's in the car, but that was super helpful. And so I appreciate having you here. It's always a pleasure hearing you share.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Courtney.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Enjoy having your evening with your family. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, and hope to see you guys if you're up to meeting in person next Tuesday night.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks again, Mitzi. And also thanks, Courtney, for setting all this up. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, you guys. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday night.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, you guys have a great night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
And real quick, Courtney, the address for the Tuesday meetup, are you gonna post that on Facebook or?
It's already on Facebook. Look on North Real Estate Investors Association. Look at the events. It'll be posted there.
Under North Shore.
Real Estate Investors Association.
Okay.
Hey, one more thing, Courtney. Thanks again for setting me up with Aaron. He's been a big help trying to get that deal done in Mississippi.
Oh, good. I'm glad, man. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's in work, so.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
You're welcome, Crystal. Reach out to me if you can't find it.
Okay.